Hey everyone, sorry about the little delay. Just getting a few things ready, and I'm 100% sure, making sure that I have invited everyone. So I've got a few people still joining. So bear with me for 1 second. Just going to make sure everyone is here. Excellent, excellent. We've got a chat going as well, so any questions, feel free to ask. And we've got all of the AI note takers in. Awesome, love it. And I'm just going to set up my screen to show you a few different things about, well, MBSPro and what's sort of coming up and how we're sort of linking everything together. So a little bit of a roadmap tonight. So we'll mostly go over the BP integration. So I want to show you how it's done. I'll also show you where we have sort of videos that help you do it as well. And then we'll go over some of the benefits and how I use it in terms of a workflow. And then we're going to briefly touch on a few other things that we're linking in with our AI Scrub. So bear with me, just checking that everyone's good to go. I have been told that I've previously left people in the waiting room, so trying to avoid that. I think that's pretty much everyone. I think that's okay. And I'm going to double check that we are recording. We are recording. All of this will be recorded and will go up on our website and help page so you can have a look at it. Speaking of help page, I will put a link in the chat, but we have a program. It's called Intercom. I'll show everyone in a second how it works. Essentially, it is our help page where everything gets put. That makes it easier for you to see these videos, makes it easier to, let me do this here, easier to see the videos. I've made a whole heap of videos of how to do the integration, things like that. That should work. Excellent. Okay, I think we're good to go. So, just waiting on one person to join, one person in particular. But it's definitely recorded, definitely recorded. Let me just want to make sure we got it. Really? That didn't work. That's hard to believe. How is that not working? Let me open this up. This should definitely join. Is there? Yeah. So, I mean, people can join, right? Definitely, definitely people are joining. Okay, got a few more people joining. That's good. Excellent. Sorry about the delay, folks. Mhm. I'm going to chat going. Let me put this help page in the chat. So with these events, we do them monthly as well. So feel free to ask any questions. I mean, send them through as well. I'll put our help page here. So that's all our like videos and things like that that help with using MBS Pro. I'm just sorting out this last person who's joining. So one little question there. So when I do the 967s, you get the incorrect dates. So that's a bug with the way that specific thing works with the 967s. Definitely looking at that. Definitely looking at the overall care planning experience. So we've got the care plan generator, which generates care plans for, say, the initial care plans, 965s. We're going to be improving that for 967. So number of goals, aligning goals with actual things. So we'll be improving it. Anyway, let me show you a couple of different things. So about our new BP integration. Let me just check here. Excellent. 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 Okay, all good. Let me share my screen. So I want to show you how to actually do the BP integration. We do have a video on it just to make it a little bit easier. Very, very quickly, I'm sure this is boring for a lot of people. So the way that it works when you're in best practice, so this is my best practice. Essentially what you do is you go to setup. Now you've got to have access to this, and you may not have access, which is one of the things that we're finding. Not every head doctor has access. Your practice manager will definitely have access. So just double check, but it's definitely in setup in configuration. If you can't see that, you don't have access to it, but you need to go to database. You need to go set up third-party integrations. This will give you a long list of all the cool things that you can integrate, and there's a ton of things, which is awesome. So these are all tools that are hopefully going to make your life easier. We're one of them, so you can search for us. We are via Halo Connect. So just as a bit of background information, Halo is a connector between best practice and pretty much every other third-party integrator. So Cubico, Heidi, other scribes, etc. I mean, you can see them all here. There's like a ton of them, and yeah. Anyway, all of those are generally connected via Halo. We've been mandated that that's how we got to connect in the future from I think November. So everyone's on Halo now. Halo has its own set of funny peculiarities. And so if you're finding there are issues with the connection, which I'll show you in a second, could be there's three things it could be. It could be best practice, could be Halo, could be us. So let us know and we'll see if we can figure it out. We have a direct communication with Halo, so we can send them messages and say, hey, this link is not working. There's something going on, so we can figure it out. So that's how you set it up from the best practice side. Then you go into your MBS Pro. So I'm on UAT. You will be on app.mbspro. UAT is like a test version, but it's the same process. You go to settings, you go to BP integration, you put in your site ID. The easiest way to find your site ID is to go into your best practice. You can go log off. Oops, I had my test patient open. I'll close that. If you go log in, you'll see your site ID down here. So that's my one. Please no one steal my site ID, but that's where it is. Then you go into your MBS Pro, you put your site ID, your name exactly as it appears. You put in your practice manager's email. That's how we verify it, and provide a number as well. Now we'll be adding in another thing in here, which will be your prescriber number. That'll be for our PBS integrations, which will be coming very, very shortly. I'm going to show you a little bit about that today, because that is also one of the things that has helped with your MBSPro BP integration. So one little thing that's helped out is the eligibility. So if you've ever wanted to know what this button here does, that's the PROTA check. This will check your care plans or mental health care plans if they've been done previously, as in, if someone's billed them. We only have the ability to check at this time care plans, mental health care plans from 1st of November, so like 2 days time. A 2712 won't matter. You can still check it, but it won't really matter because that item number is going to be deleted. Prota doesn't give us the ability to check other item numbers. If you log into Prota, you can check every item number ever, but we only have the ability to connect into these two item numbers, which is the same as Cubico, Clinometrics, all the rest of them. It's a connector issue, so it's not a Prota issue, it's not a us issue. It's sort of the connector in between. Doesn't allow us to check other item numbers. When you have BP integration, all of this data is pre-filled with your patient, so their Medicare card number, their IRN, whatever, date of birth, gender, blah, blah, blah. Everything's pre-filled. So it is very quick to check. The next thing to add on the integration list is having it just automatically check the waiting room for all of your patients and say, yep, this patient's eligible for these things, this patient's eligible for these things, as well as a My Medicare check to check where their My Medicare has been registered to. So that's on the roadmap. That's where the integration will work. The waiting room hopefully will look something like this for you. We're adding in some updates to make it a bit clearer and easier to see what item numbers are due. You can search via the item number to see what things are due. This will be added as well into our clinic portal, which I'll show you in a sec, which is more of an admin reception nurse point of view. So they'll be able to see your patients, what are due, and hopefully, get those things done for you from a workflow point of view. So I'll touch on that in a second. Now, the other thing that we've added in is dashboards. So if you've integrated into best practice, what you'll see is waiting room and practice dashboards come extra. Nothing else you need to do. There's no extra, payments or anything. It's all included. So if you don't see those two things, you're not integrated, or it might be pending. So we've got to approve the integration. So, send us a message. We get pinged automatically when you do it, but you should see those two things. We'll be adding in some extra things over the next couple of months. So things like a CPD tracker, evidence-based medicine module, PBS authorities we've talked about. So let me show you the practice dashboard so everyone gets so this will be like billings over a week, hour per consult, bulk billing rate, etc. You'll also get a patient billing list, which I'll show you in 1 second. A billing status management, which you can sort of see here, essentially just shows you patients that you've seen that are that are pending. So the billings have gone through and they're just sort of waiting to be billed, as in batched off to Medicare. Anything that's on hold, just so you're aware that maybe you've done a skin excision and it's sort of sitting there. Anything that's been rejected or written off, and then pending, which is pretty much everything else. So that's the way that we've sort of grouped these things together. We also do some data on care plans, health assessments, medication reviews, and then a GP share calculator. This will be updated so your percentages can change depending on your registrar, or you might do I don't know, nursing homes or whatever. So we'll have a slider for that. Not there yet. Now, the most important thing is probably this patient billing or daily billing list. Let me show you what it looks like with this slide here. It's a really handy thing that we're going to be adding in a couple of more features too. So essentially you'll have your patient list. So it'll be the number of patients or all the patients that you've seen that day. So you can sort it by day. It'll have all the MBS codes that you've billed. It'll have consult times. We pull it directly from best practice. It'll have recommended times. So these are just times that we put in as a baseline for certain items. Some of them are based off specific MBS requirements. So if you bill a 23, that needs to be 6 minutes. That's a specific time frame. There are other times that we've just sort of that I've added in. So for example, I've put 10 minutes for a 967 or 965, so care plan. If it's below the time, we just flag it. So we're not flagging it in the context of, we're calling the police or anything. It's just to let you know that maybe maybe you've built a 23 and the timer only went for 5 minutes. So when we say timer, it's based on when you open the notes to when you finalize the visit, not necessarily click out of the chart. So finalize it, send the billings off. Um, the reason why we're sort of putting this in there is just to flag it with you. So no, we're not the police. No one, we're not, we don't tell anything anyway. All of this is only available to you as the individual practitioner. It's just to give you an idea. You've seen recently, I think there was an article from the PSR, $27 million was paid back by doctors. The single most common thing is time in terms of payments, as in paying back to PSR. You haven't met the time requirement. The easiest thing to get picked up on, it can be difficult to see if a care plan is good or bad, or if a health assessment was, met the 707 criteria or the 705 criteria. But the easiest thing to pick up on is just time. So have you spent the actual time? So we flag that. Now, the other thing that we flag is time spent with, say, for example, a nurse. So this is a 699 and 967. That would be, 20 minutes for the 699, inclusive of nurse time, plus your 967, which doesn't have a time requirement, but we've sort of said, 10 minutes. That can be different. I think you could do a care plan in under 10 minutes for a patient that you know very, very well. I think that's absolutely possible. Conversely, you might spend 20 or 30 minutes with a new patient. We've just put a number in just to give you an idea. It's by no means something that you should, quote. It's just something I've put in. So with any nurse-related item numbers, we'll flag nurse required time. A little bit of a bug there because it's saying 23 minutes when the 699 is only 20 minutes. What it's suggesting is that the time has been used over the care plan plus the health assessment, which you very well could do. But your total time requirements are, or what we'd recommend is, 30 minutes, and you could have a portion of that 699 done by the nurse. So the idea behind this is it just flags, you can spend some time with your nurse, some time with you as the doctor, and you can bill that 699. 699 is a number that's for heart health check. That's a 20-minute item number. It's worth like $80. Similar to the menopause one, but menopause is worth $100. That's a 695, but same sort of concept, some nurse time. So what we're trying to do here is just make it a bit easier to suggest why certain things would be done. The other thing that we're adding or have here under this service, this is what your receptionist will usually type in. You'll see here there'll be this NDS, that's not duplicate service. You've got NNAC, that's not normal aftercare. And let me see if we've got anyone who's got not related, not duplicate service, and we've got a time. So these are things that your receptions might put in, and they're valuable to put in to reduce the risk of getting a rejection. So something like, not related, unrelated, not duplicate service, time frames or time, specific times in. That's really helpful in terms of getting not that many rejections. This service just lets you know what's been put through. Now, you don't need to put in a comment on a 23 that you've privately built. That will 100% always go through. There are some caveats, if you're putting through a 23 of a 30071, annotating not normal aftercare or unrelated or something like that will make it go through. If you're doing, say, a 2712 and a 967 together, putting on times when you've done those things just, means it goes through better and easier. So that's the whole basis of that, to make it easier, flag any issues, hopefully before they get sent off to Medicare, so you can adjust that and just keep on top of like time requirements to reduce risk of audits, things like that. The billing status management essentially, I think I already went over this, but essentially it just has all your billings, anything that's on hold, anything that's rejected. So it's just easier for you to follow it up as the doctor that's using it. Now let me show you. I think I already showed you the waiting room. So this is what the waiting room looks like. When you first integrate, you might find that nothing appears here. So these are my sort of patients. You might need to click the sync button. That'll do a manual sync. It can take 1 or 2 minutes. Main reason is because it's pulling data through Halo. Halo, a lot of data goes through there. So it can take like a minute or two. So I won't test the whole thing in front of you, but give it a minute or two on the first sync. If it doesn't load, you might have to reload the whole thing. That's pretty normal. That's the way it sort of works. And then it loads up like that. So it's a funny connection. We don't have a lot of power to sort of make it work better or faster, but that's sort of the way that it works. So the idea is that with the BP integration, we can pull out a lot of information, give you auditability, looking at your times, also pre-filling things like PROTA and PBS authorities, which I'll show you in 1 second. Now, the other thing that we're adding into our to this patient billing list, which will sit in here as well as sit in the waiting room, is that we can actually see the times that have been spent previously linked to patients. So we can give you an idea if you're going to run late that day. So we can say you've got 20 patients, you've got a couple of tricky ones, they've booked in for 15-minute appointments, and your average time spent with them is 21 minutes. So you're going to run 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes late, and we can calculate that out for you. So we'll be adding that in shortly. That'll sit within dashboards and waiting rooms, so we can give you a time frame when you run late. From a practice management point of view, that's really exciting for me because then I can say, oh, I'm probably going to have to pay overtime because we have to have some receptions stay back because there's going to be patients still in the building after the time that we close. So that's going in there. Not added in yet, very close to adding that in. I can see a few questions. Let me get to them in 1 second. I did want to show you the other super cool thing, which is our PBS authorities. So this is in our testing environment. Hopefully going to release that out to everyone in the next, I keep saying a couple of weeks, but hopefully a couple of weeks. So we have a direct link in with, Services Australia, Proto, etc. What that means is that we can do our PBS authorities through here. It'll look a little bit different to this because what we're going to do is, the word is refactor. I'm learning a lot of IT words. We're going to refactor it down so that it's going to be significantly more streamlined. What that'll mean is that we will pre-fill a ton of this information. So prescriber number, Medicare card, because that'll just come straight through the BP integration. So most things will be pre-filled. You will have your drugs that you will need to search for. We will have the ability to favorite drugs. So you probably have about 5, 6, 7 authority medications that you do regularly. I do, say, Targin, Norspan, Penadine Fort, and then a couple of the ADHD ones, and that pretty much covers like 90% of my patients. So I can have 4 in there that are pinned because it's the same drug at the same dose that I give at the same time, pretty much, every month or every 3 months based on the authority, etc. So what we'll have is you have all this information pre-filled. You'll click on the drug that you've pinned, which will pre-fill, the quantity repeats. So it might be Norspan, and no brand. So we'll go 4 and 2, and then it'll be 1 weekly. So this will all be a bit more streamlined. Don't need to put any comments in there, and then you'll just go do authority and it's done because it's all already pre-filled. We'll have default questions. So when I ask you the questions are usually the same. So they will be already pre-filled. You'll connect it to Proto. Still need to connect it. We're having a bit of an error, but it will work when we release it. So it'll say connected, and then you'll be able to do it. We're hoping we'll be able to get authorities done in 15 seconds as opposed to 1 or 2 minutes, even if you're doing it online, and certainly a lot quicker than if you ring up, especially with the integration and pulling all that data through. So that'll be how that works. A few things in the roadmap, not necessarily related to the BP integration. So personalizations. What personalization is just a more unique and niche way of doing edits to your template. So what will happen is your note will be created, and say the note that is summarized is, a 53-year-old type 2 diabetic presenting with, with presenting for repeat script. So that's what your note says, as in after it's summarized. What will happen is then you'll be able to edit it and go, oh, actually, I want it to say 53-year-old, and I want to say type 2 diabetic, and it'll spell it correctly. And then what it'll do, it'll recognize that's how you like your notes. So it's not learning your note as in that patient's data, it's learning how you like it personalized. And then from then on, it'll create your note like that. It'll significantly improve the note quality, significantly improve it being specific to the way that you see your patients and write. So that's personalizations. The other one is an evidence-based medicine module, which will come down in our PBS authority. So essentially be able to just query, what is first-line treatment for type 2 diabetics in a 53-year-old, and it'll look up, who is that joining? I know. It was someone joining. And it'll look up guidelines, databases based on Australian guidelines, so things like ETG, RCH, AMH. So it'll be an evolution of our current resource. Our current resource is essentially just search based on context, and it'll link to a specific resource, which you can click and it'll open up. It'll be an evolution of that, which will provide a more, structured answer to a specific question with references. So it'll be a fair bit more useful. It'll still provide the patient information sheets, but again, be, more specific, referenced, and I think work a lot better. So that's what we're planning to aim with that. Let me answer a few questions while I've got everyone here in the chat. Thanks, everyone. We've got heaps of AI scribes. Awesome. Yeah, so pre-consult. So I should add that. So pre-consult with B integration. So we're adding in, it's nearly done, adding in the ability to customize the questions that are asked to your patient. So it should be a fair bit better. You can put in specific types of questions or take out specific questions to make it more specific to the way that you practice. So it will be better. It will be better. That's what we're aiming for. Now, a couple of other things that I wanted to show you, off on a tangent, but related to the BP integration, just quickly, because I don't want to be, too long. I appreciate everyone who's joined. This is our clinical portal. This is for admin reception nurse side of things. This is where our AI receptionists and document scanner, rescheduling, etc. is sitting. So if you want to have a look at how this works, this is sort of like a first preview. This is all linked up into my clinic that I'm working at. The way that we've separated it out is it works on inbound and outbound. Inbound is when people call your clinic. It can see and it can talk to a virtual receptionist, so patients have to wait in the queue and book them in. You can have a look at the transcript about what exactly was said, ensure that the AI, just like your human receptionists, are providing a good service. We've got analytics of when your calls come in. We've got a knowledge base that you sort of fill out based on your own clinic. And then the exciting thing though that I really want to get to is our campaigns or outbound. So outbound is super exciting. Essentially, what outbound is we call it campaign. So that might be a rescheduling campaign. A doctor is sick. You're sick as a doctor, and you're like, oh, I feel so guilty because I need my receptionist to reschedule, like 30, 40, 50, 50 is a lot, but like a lot of patients. We can get the AI to do that. You want to run a campaign calling in all your health assessments that are due or your care plans that are due and ensure that they're booked at the correct time and not one day before, so you can't bill it. Essentially, we run a campaign. You just call up your doctor. So I've got Gishan. I don't know, he's gone on holidays and he forgot to tell me. And I called him this morning and he said, oh, actually, I'm in Europe. So we got a doctor unavailable. We're going to reschedule him for these couple of weeks. We'll fetch all our patients. So good old Bruce Banner, the Hulk's coming in, and Batman, Bruce Wayne. So these are all patients in our testing environment. We're going to reschedule Jeremy Clarkson, all of the great ones are here. We're going to set a call strategy. So the strategy is we're going to call them, 3 times over the next hour, send them a text as well. Ishan has left forever. So the patients will love that sort of text message. And then you can continue it. You can launch your campaign. So your AI just call everyone and reschedule them. Or if you're doing a campaign for your diabetics or care plans or health assessments or shingles vaccines, whatever it is, this will call and book in for it as opposed to just sending a text and hoping a patient will click on the link and actually book in. This is our document scanner. So this is something that we're giving away for free. So, let me know if you're interested. This is more of a practice tool. So individual GPs, probably not that helpful. The way that it works is that it's a way to significantly reduce your admin and reception time spent on identifying documents, allocating it to correct doctor's inbox. So it'll look at the patient that's come through. Here's a mental health care plan, links it up with their ID, links it up with the doctor. You can upload documents from scanned files, emails can be imported, and it'll just send it off to the doctor's inbox and make it significantly quicker for your receptionist admin. So more of an admin reception type thing. Whoops. And then we've also got our waiting room. So the waiting room functions very similar to the waiting room in our actual AI scribe, but it's where the nurses will log in and see, okay, I've got 10 699s due and a couple 715s, etc. So they'll be able to log in and see that. And then dashboards is just essentially like your personal dashboard, but more about things like did not attend rate, waiting times, things like that. So like more of a clinical type view. So that's everything in like a super quick nutshell. Hopefully that has made sense from a BP integration point of view. Certainly, if you need any help, I was going to say you can always contact us through in the bottom left-hand corner. There's help that opens up an intercom chat that literally just messages like me on my phone and a few of us. So we've got a team. So we can get back to you usually like really quick. You can send screenshots that can help us figure out, what the issue is, and we'll get back to you straight away. So there's a few of us that are on there. It also links into our intercom help page, which is here. It's all just stored here. So you can look at our quick start guide. You can look at our, how to log in and sign up. I've got some videos there, etc. So it's got everything in there. Then you can message us as well. So this is meant to make it, easier for us to try and figure out, what's going on. So that's how it works with the BP integration. You can see sort of the overriding vision. The vision is that we have a tool that will help us with our MBS code, so provide us education, product integration, etc. Tools that help us with other things like PBS authorities, dashboards, etc. And then we've got a way to book those item codes in, ensuring that you were getting people's care plans, health assessments, things done. In an ideal situation, we're switching out 23s for higher value item numbers and higher value care. That's the idea. Any questions about that? Hopefully that's been helpful. Let me just go back to my chat. Got heaps of Otter. Otter is very, very, very sought after and trusted. Will it auto-populate patient? Yeah, correct. So it will auto-populate patient even if they don't do the pre-consult because it's just pulling their data. So going back to your current consult, essentially what it does is it puts their patient here. So, Mary Smith, it'll put in their date of birth, today they were born, put in their gender. And that's what you'll see when you start the note, even if they don't have the pre-consult. If they have filled out the pre-consult, their pre-consult will be filled in here. So it'll say, presenting for script, sore toe. So we put the pre-consult information into this box called the context box. That means when you create your note, it takes that into context and creates a really good note. Another way that I use it, so jumping back to my best practice screen, let me log in. It'll take like 30 years to log in. Another way that I use it in terms of workflow is that I actually, whoops, wrong password. I actually use an always on top window, and this works extraordinarily well. So I encourage everyone to do this. So we have I put it in here, a little download like widget in the Google Chrome store. It's free, doesn't cost you anything, of course. So here it is here. You can click on it and it will create an overlay window for MBSPro. So what that means is I can utilize BP at the same time. So I can still navigate around here. Say I saw a patient and I did, okay, I wrote nothing of value in that one. But if I did some scripts, here we are. So I wrote a small note. Maybe it's my previous note. I can just copy and paste it, copy it into context. And then when I start my note, it'll know what I've done previously, or it'll know that I've prescribed, metformin or whatever. It fixes the names in terms of the spelling, so it just improves the overall note like significantly. Also, another thing it's great for is that, for example, if you're writing a letter, sorry, for your patient, perhaps in support of disability DSP, or Centrelink or public housing, or to skip jury duty or whatever. When you go create, which is where the care plans and all the other things live, you can go create custom document. So I can write here, write a letter in support of disability support pension. And what it does is it takes into everything you put in there. So you might have a letter from I don't think I have any letters because it's a test patient, but say I had a letter from the, psychologist. This was a test, but I can copy and paste that letter into here from the psychologist and the psychiatrist. I can go create, write a letter, and it will take into account the letter and everything you put in context, everything that's been said. Write a letter for you for DSP or the pension or like whatever else you need to write a letter for. So I've been using that a ton. I wrote a letter in support of someone getting access to something, through NDIS, and it writes a great letter for you, and it's really easy to do. because it's just sitting on top of best practice. So I find that that works extraordinarily well. All your MBS codes still go down here. Your eligibility check is still there. You can still access everything down here. So it just reloads it sort of in that little window. So that's how I use it. I know it's sort of a tangent to what we're talking about. I think that works really well. So jumping back to the context, you can add it in there. I have my screen that floats on top. That makes it easier. A couple of other questions here. Excellent, excellent. If we work from home doing home consult, can we have a connection to our home computer microphone under the same joining? Yeah. So it runs on a browser. So anywhere that you can open a browser, you can use it and use it. So if you're doing telehealth, you can click up here. This is where you select which microphone to use. So just make sure you're clicking the right microphone. This blue, lights, that's just indicating that I'm talking. So if I don't talk, nothing happens, and then now you can see it's moving. That just means the microphone's working. If you select a microphone that isn't working, nothing will occur. If you want to use telehealth mode, you can click that, and essentially what that means is that it will listen and hear the video health platform, so Teams, Zoom, whatever else you use, and it will directly hear the sound from that platform as opposed to hearing your speakers. So that's just a clearer way of getting better notes if you're doing video calls. If you're doing a call on the phone, so I use my phone in clinic and I just put it on speaker, and it will just hear it because it's got a microphone. So there's no problems there. It'll work, no worries. Can you use it in two different best practices? So we get that question a lot. So you just need to connect it, disconnect it. It's not the smoothest workflow. I totally appreciate that. We're going to add in the ability to have two things connected and just a quicker switch. Not there yet, unfortunately. So that's on the roadmap. Not quite there yet. Any other questions about all that? Hopefully that's covered a few things. This will all be recorded, of course. If not, I think we've hit our half an hour. Sorry, I'm a little bit late, but I really appreciate everyone joining. I really appreciate your support. We'll be doing this every month. Get people used to how it works, support with any of our new features that are coming along. Again, the aim is to make it like a really useful tool for GPs, make things easier, and try and figure out, all of those little tiny things that don't necessarily add value to patient care, but we've got to do because of compliance or some sort of legal thing. So we'll leave it there. This will get recorded. I'll put it up on our help page. So the help page sits here, and then all our recordings go here in the masterclass and live webinars. Actually, that should just be the one. I'll fix that, but they're all here. We've also got some videos on MBS items and how it works with the MBS planner, a whole heap of other things. All right, not a problem. Oh, another little question. Do you have a preferred recommended mic? Not really, just any external mic. 30 bucks, 50 bucks will work. So they're like little pucks. So let me I'll show you the ones that we use sort of, or have used. External microphone. You don't need to spend, 50 bucks. I wouldn't even spend any of these. So here, this is a great one, $35. That's awesome. Something like that would probably work fine. That's 20 bucks. So you don't need to spend a lot of money. They're perfectly fine. If it's sitting, in between you and the patient, not a problem. All good. All right. Appreciate your time. Appreciate you coming late at night, hanging out and learning about this. We'll leave it there. Thanks again. Really appreciate it. I'll stop sharing and I'll let you all have a good rest of your night. Thanks, everyone. Bye. Whoops, this week, so you get an idea of what they look like. Essentially, what